walk into your relationship with all of the unhealed pain, and you basically walk to your partner and you say,
Heal me.
here it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here it is. Yeah. Yeah. But we don't know that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's not why we get into, that's not why we think we're getting into relationships. But that to me is when we're talking, when I get a little more kind of spiritual and woo-woo and esoteric about it, I deeply believe that we get into relationship to heal the parts of ourselves that nobody else could heal before. And when we find the relationship that is the one we decide to basically put on the altar as this is where I'm going to do my work, this is where then what you're saying as each partner is, I am signing up to be here to heal, to help you heal the parts of yourself that nobody else that came before me could help you heal. Like I'm up for that task, and vice versa. Yeah. It's, to me, that lens it's a gift that we give each other when we sign up for relationships and say, it doesn't matter how perfect I want you to be. I know you come with unhealed wounding, and I have the exact recipe that's probably going to bump up against those wounds. Yeah. But if we're responsible enough and we do our work enough, that what I also can do is support in the healing of those wounds.
Yes. I heard Gabor Mate said that if it's hysterical, it's historical. And if someone is reacting based out of a trigger or something, and they're reacting hysterically to a situation or an environment that even isn't a physical threat, but feels to them like there's a physical threat, there's some type of history behind it that's causing them to be hysterical or reactive in whatever situation. And what I'm hearing you say is that healthy conflict takes courage, is what I'm hearing you say. And what I lacked for most of my life in every intimate relationship I was in was courage. For most of my life, I would stuff it down. I was in the second phase, the power struggle phase, for most of my relationship life. And I was, I'd get into a relationship for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and just kind of repeat the cycle, thinking it was the person I was with, and get in a new relationship and kind of repeat the cycle of phase 1 to phase 2. And then you're in phase 2 forever, and you're trying to get into interdependence, right? But it never felt like it for me until this, my marriage now. And what I'm hearing you also say is that you're not getting into a relationship with a human being, you're getting in a relationship with their nervous system. And if their nervous system is wounded and irregulated or deregulated, then that's what you're getting in a relationship with, is how someone perceives everything in the world. And if they're traumatized, or if they have thin skin by every little thing that you say or do or don't do, that's the relationship you're getting into. Not the person and how they look, but what's inside their nervous system and how they respond to their environment.
I often say, like, if we were to go on first dates and be like, all right, when you're just off the rocker, what do you like? Like when you're super triggered, when you're a 10 out of 10, when you're a 5 out of 10, what do you like? What are we up
There's
against?
There's a bear inside of me. There's like a bear that wants to destroy. If I'm like not regulated, it's like, I'm like, let me just take on the world. It's like a bear.
Same. I can get both. I can get loud, and I can get super quiet, and just like you don't even feel my heart. Like I can go to both of those places, and they're not places I'm proud of, by the way.
Of course.
But and by the way, no matter how much work we do, these pieces live inside of us.
Yeah.
It's not that the little kid ever goes away. It's that when you start to understand what your nervous system is like when it gets dysregulated, like, oh, I know that my chest tightens, or I start to talk really, really fast, or I start to sweat, or it's maybe it doesn't feel so physiological, but I can start to feel you become my enemy. I'm like trying to build my case against you, right? So right. Like we've all kind of been here in one way or another. When I begin to understand what my particular brand of dysregulation looks like, then I can start taking responsibility for when I'm going there. And that adaptive part, that young, because that's really what it is. It's the part of ourselves that's just trying to fight for, keep me safe, keep me safe. We can sort of do this thing where we like put the kid in the back. It's like, okay, you're 5. I don't want you to go away, but you also can't drive.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that Terry talks about, which I think is also really smart, which is like you put the kid in the back and you got to give the kid love, but the kid needs a boundary. Like, that's what kids need. They need love, but they need boundaries. So you
Yes.
you put the kid in the back and you're like, hey kid, I got this. You don't need to be the one. And they generally don't want to be the ones to be in the fight anyway. They're like, oh,
No.
great, hands off the wheel. I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
take
yeah.
a nap or play Legos in the back. And then the more regulated part of you can start to come online. But you've got to take care of the part that's dysregulated. Um, Generally speaking, you're either better at auto-regulating, so regulating on your own, or co-regulating, like you need somebody to help you regulate. And we want to get better at the other. That's generally what we need. I fall into the co-regulation category. Like it feels like at times I need my wife to help me. Like I need her to help calm me down. Like I can't, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
been a huge,
But if you attract an independent person and they're like, "Hey, I'm
oh,
an independent, like get away from
that's her,
you're
by the way.
clinging to someone who
Oh,
wants to be alone."
but that's also where the healing comes into play,
Mm.
right? So because I have been like, save me from my own emotions that I don't feel like I can handle on my own, and she's like, that doesn't actually work. What do I have to do? I have to build the skill of auto-regulating. I have to
Yes.
build the part of myself that understands how to take care of
And
myself.
probably the more you do that, the more she wants to come in and
100%.
co-regulate, as
Exactly,
opposed
which
to
is her
feeling like she
work.
needs to do it.
100%.
And like, yeah,
100%.
that's
What
interesting.
Support for the School of Greatness comes from Robert Half. Need contract help for those workload peaks and backlog projects? Well, you're not alone. At Robert Half, they found that 67% of companies surveyed said they will increase their use of contract work. And that's why their recruiters leverage their experience and use award-winning AI to quickly find the skilled candidates that you want. Learn about our specialized talent in finance, accounting, technology, marketing, and legal and administrative support. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
You mentioned before that there's a massive link between physiological health and emotional dysregulation. How does this play into relationships then?
Oh, thank you for asking this. Thank you, because this is so important. So, I think one of the things that we're missing in the relationship space, as far as like a real conversation in the field, is right now we talk a lot about trauma. We talk a lot about nervous system. And those are important. I don't mean to say they're not. But what we haven't linked in the relationship space is how our physiological and biological health connect to our ability to regulate.
Mhm.
So if you just ate a meal that had a bunch of sugar,
Yes.
if you haven't gotten sleep, if your thyroid is off, if you don't have enough vitamin D, if your hormones are out of whack, if your cortisol, I mean,
Mhm.
my wife and I were literally just talking about this. She's been dysregulated lately, and we were talking about why, and she was like, "Oh, I just got my thyroid levels checked. Turns out they're all out of whack." And it changed within 2 months. She had just gotten her labs done and we were like, "Oh, this makes a ton of sense." This happened to me too. My cortisol was way out of whack. And I was like, "Why am I being so sensitive? I don't understand." I've been going through IVF, same thing. But with IVF, I know what's happening. It's like I'm taking estrogen, I'm taking progesterone, and I can literally be like, "Whoa, one day I take progesterone and I'm like the devil." And then, I take estrogen the next day and I'm like, everything's cool. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fine. Nothing bothers me. Nothing. But we're not linking that. We're talking a lot about trauma, which again it's not that it's not important, but there are other reasons why you aren't regulating. And it could be something that is, so getting your labs done to me is one of the most, it's like a low hanging fruit. I mean, if we're talking free, we're talking morning and evening sunlight, just easy. We're talking about getting as good of sleep as you possibly can and then eating well. Those are free options. The next level up is getting labs, just to peek under the hood and be like, okay, what's actually going on with my hormones?
Yeah.
Function Health is a great panel. They do a membership that's way cheaper than the actual labs, and they're fantastic. I work with them closely, so I love them. And they also track it over time. So once you start to understand, it's another way to take control of the regulation conversation, and you cannot repair without being regulated, period.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.